Bharat goes to the forest. After hearing what had happened to Ram, Sita, and Lakshman, Bharat disowned his mother, Queen Kekai, for the unforgivable sin she had committed. He vowed to bring Ram back from the forest and reinstate him on the throne of Ayodhya. Bharat's anger knew no bounds, and inside his heart he grieved greatly for the loss of his father. Moreover, the separation from Ram, Sita, and Lakshman pained him so much that he stormed out of the palace. Shatrughan was equally angry, and upon the sight of Manthara, he was so overcome and blinded with rage that he kicked her hard. He cursed her for poisoning Queen Kaikai's mind with greed of the throne for her son. Bharat was inconsolable, and the pain of the wrong that his mother had committed rested heavily in his heart. He rushed to see his father's body lying in the state of palace chambers. The great and wise sage Vamadev and Vashisht did their best to console Bharat and Shatrughan. They said to Bharat, "O noble prince, have courage in your heart. Every person who is born on the earth is destined to die and leave one day for his heavenly abode. It is time for you to perform the last rites of your father, the great King Dashrath." After much consoling, Bharat finally arose and initiated the preparations for the last rites of his father. On the bank of river Saryu, a mighty pyre made of sandalwood was raised. Bharat consigned the body of his father, the virtuous King Dashrath, to the holy flames of the all-consuming fire. He then bathed in the river and offered prayers for his father's soul. Having performed the last rites, Bharat made his way back to the palace with sorrow in his heart, but he was determined to bring Ram back to Ayodhya. 14 days had passed since Bharat's return to Ayodhya, which was now without a king. So the ministers called an assembly, and after much deliberation and thought, they decided that according to Queen Kaikai's wish, Bharat should be crowned king of Ayodhya. When Bharat heard this, he bowed down humbly to the assembly and said, "I will not be crowned king. I have vowed to bring Ram, Sita, and Lakshman back from the forest, and I will have Ram crowned king according to my father's wish." The entire assembly was moved by Bharat's devotion to his brother Ram and his father, and they accepted his decision gladly. Preparations were made for Bharat to go to the forest with chariots and horses, befitting a king. Many of the assembly members and the people of Ayodhya also joined Bharat on this mission. All the ministers, the sages, the people of Ayodhya, and the 3 queens of King Dashrath made their way into the forest with Bharat. A huge army also went with them to protect them from demons, robbers, and wild animals. Clouds of dust rose from the ground as they marched forward, and the rumbling was heard for miles. As the multitude reached the forest, Ram, Sita, and Lakshman heard the rumbling noise. Ram asked Lakshman to climb up a tall tree to see who was approaching. Lakshman saw the huge army with the flags of the Raghuvansh on the chariots and was alarmed because he thought that Bharat was coming to attack them. He prepared for combat, but Ram told him to stay calm and rest assured. in the fact that Bharat would never come to fight. Bharat asked half the army to stay back and ordered the rest to follow him into the clearing where he could see a thatched cottage. There he saw Ram sitting with Sita and Lakshman. He was so overwhelmed by the sight of his beloved brother and Sita that he ran forward and fell at Ram's feet, weeping with joy. Ram lifted Bharat, embraced him warmly, and said him if all was well. Bharat could not bring himself to tell Ram about the sad demise of their father, but gathered the courage and said, O Ram, our father could not live without you. He passed away 6 days after you left, uttering your name, even in his last breath. I have come to take you back to Ayodhya to crown you king according to father's wish. Come with me and govern the people of Ayodhya who are without a king. Hearing the news of his father's death, Ram was in deep pain, as if an arrow had pierced his heart. He was shocked, and Sita and Lakshman, though in grief, consoled and comforted him. After a while, he rose, made his way towards the river Mandakini, and offered prayers for his father's soul. He looked towards heaven and appealed to his father to provide direction and to be guiding light for him always. As he returned to the hut, sage Vashisht led the 3 queens of the king Dashrath into the thatched cottage. They were shocked to see Ram, Sita, and Lakshman in the clothes of hermits and living in this simple a manner. Queen Kaushalya embraced Sita and said, O daughter of Janak, daughter-in-law of the great Dashrath, my heart grieves at your plight. How can you live in a hut in the forest like this? Come back to the palace, O pride of Ayodhya. An assembly was held outside the cottage where Ram, Sita, and Lakshman had made their home in the forest. All the elders and sages, courtiers and ministers stood with folded hands in front of Ram. Bharat pleaded, We have come to take you with us to the palace and crown you king of Ayodhya. The throne rightfully belongs to you. With your departure to the forest and the death of our father, the kingdom is plunged into gloom. Only you can disperse the darkness by taking over your rightful place on the throne as a king. So I beg you, please come back with us. Ram was overwhelmed by Bharat's word, but since he had given his father his word, he could not come back on it. Ram replied to Bharat, My dear brother, you know that I cannot go against our father's last wish. If I fail to fulfill it, what kind of son would I be? He continued, Go back to Ayodhya and rule as king. You have Shatrughan by your side. He will give you strength and courage. I have Lakshman and Sita here with me. We will spend the 14 years together and will be safe. Have no fears, everything will be all right. Bharat replied, I have made up my mind. I will not rule Ayodhya. If you will not come back with me, then give me some belongings of yours to live by. At least give me the sandals of your feet. I will place them on the throne and protect the kingdom in your name till your return from exile. So Ram handed over his sandals and blessed him with all his heart. Bharat returned to Ayodhya with his sorrowful multitude, owing to keep the kingdom safe for Ram and rule it justly on his behalf.